Here's your gift.
In the gleaming towers of downtown Chicago, where power suits and polished boardrooms hide the ugliest secrets, a young black woman named Aisha Thompson slipped into the shadows of her father's empire. Posing as a wide-eyed intern fresh out of college, she watched as the managers, once loyal allies, twisted the company into a web of greed and prejudice. Whispers of rigged promotions, stolen ideas from minority hires, and outright sabotage echoed through the halls. But Aisha wasn't there to fetch coffee. She was there to dismantle it all. One fateful afternoon, with a single email and a room full of stunned executives, she exposed the rot and fired them all on the spot. What drove a CEO's daughter to risk everything? And how deep did the betrayal run? Aisha Thompson had always been the invisible force behind her father's success. At 28, with a Harvard MBA tucked under her arm like a secret weapon, she could have coasted into any executive suite. But Jamal Thompson, the trailblazing black CEO of Apex Innovations, a tech firm revolutionizing sustainable energy, had raised her on stories of the barriers he'd shattered. "Glass ceilings aren't made of glass," he would say, his voice heavy with the weight of decades. "They're forged in fire, and you have to burn them down." Apex wasn't just a company, it was a beacon, employing hundreds in a city still scarred by red-lined neighborhoods and unequal opportunities. From its sleek headquarters overlooking Lake Michigan, Jamal had built a legacy of innovation and inclusion, mentoring young black engineers and funding scholarships in underserved communities. But lately, cracks had appeared. Whispers from the boardroom reached Aisha during her late-night strategy sessions with her father. Plummeting morale, mysterious budget shortfalls, and lawsuits from employees claiming discrimination. Jamal dismissed them as growing pains, his shoulders sagging under the invisible weight of being the only black face in high-stakes investor meetings. But Aisha saw the truth in the data she crunched. Diversity hires vanishing after probation, white managers hoarding credit for cross-team projects, procurement deals funneled to firms with no minority ownership. It wasn't incompetence, it was calculated sabotage. Determined to protect her father's dream without undermining his authority, Aisha devised a plan. She dyed her signature braids a nondescript brown, traded tailored blazers for thrift store khakis, and applied for an entry-level internship under a fabricated name, Ashley Johnson. Her resume was scrubbed clean, no family ties, no elite credentials, just a generic community college grad eager to learn the ropes. On her first day, clutching a laminated badge, she became the intern everyone overlooked, the perfect ghost to haunt the halls of power. As weeks blurred into monotonous tasks, Aisha's resolve hardened. She volunteered for the drudgery no one else wanted: data entry, meeting transcriptions, jobs that gave her unrestricted access to the company's digital veins. Late nights in her studio, surrounded by takeout boxes, she pieced together fragments, funds siphoned to shell accounts, performance reviews laced with coded biases, proposals stolen from minority hires. Anger sharpened her focus. Who were the architects of this decay? Her first real glimpse came during a break-room huddle. Mark Riley, the slick VP of operations with his golf tan and loud ties, bragged with his circle about reassigning a developer's pitch. The developer was Tariq, a brilliant black coder Aisha once mentored, now pushed out under the label "too aggressive." His promotion vanished overnight, his desk cleared while he was on leave. Digging deeper, Aisha saw the same fate for Elena Vasquez, a Latina analyst whose sharp supply chain ideas were ignored and repackaged by white managers. Elena's reports gathered dust while contracts flowed to C-suite friends. Emails revealed kickbacks, contracts inflated and funneled offshore. scholarships gutted for consulting fees. One email chilled Aisha most, a forged audit blaming budget shortfalls on underperforming minority hires, set to be unveiled at the upcoming Investor Summit. The summit arrived, banners proclaiming "Innovation without borders" as executives and investors filled Apex's grand auditorium. Aisha, still disguised as Ashley, slipped into the control booth. When Jamal began his keynote, she hijacked the feed. Screens behind him flickered, then displayed damning emails, Mark mocking diversity quotas, kickback ledgers, Tariq and Alana's stolen work, the forged audit glowing like a confession. Gasps filled the hall. Mark lurched from his seat, pale with panic. Jamal's eyes scanned the booth, recognizing the truth as Aisha emerged, shedding her disguise. Her braids fell free as she strode to the podium, cueing the final slide. Names of corrupt executives, redlined with termination notices. Security ushered them out as cameras flashed, the room stunned into silence. In the aftermath, Apex didn't crumble, it transformed. Jamal embraced his daughter backstage, pride and sorrow etched on his face. News outlets exploded with headlines, "Undercover heiress exposes racism at tech giant." Investors, far from fleeing, doubled down. Siphoned funds were recovered and redirected to scholarships and mentorship programs. Aisha took her place as Chief Diversity Officer, enforcing blind review processes, bias audits, and equity networks. Tariq returned as lead developer. Elena rose to lead procurement reforms, and the company's culture began to heal. But Aisha knew the scars would never fully fade. Her trust in allies was tempered, her nights still haunted by the faces of those who weaponized prejudice. Yet her fire burned brighter, fueling her mission to guard her father's legacy. Apex became stronger, a symbol of resilience against systemic injustice embedded in corporate America. From her new office overlooking Lake Michigan, Aisha often reflected on the truth of her journey. Racial injustice wasn't a relic, it was revenue, hidden in bonuses of gatekeepers who thrived on silence. Her story was one victory in a larger war, and as the city stretched before her, she wondered, what if every overlooked intern carried a key to the kingdom? In a world that glorified caped saviors, maybe the real heroes were those who wore disguises, dismantling empires from within, one exposed truth at a time.